Welcome to WagerTalk TV. I am Kelly Stewart, joined by Dave Cokin at Dave Cokin on Twitter and Adam Trigger at Top Flight SI. Make sure you guys are giving both of those guys a follow. They give out a ton of free information on the social media world. All right, guys, we're going to the SEC, and I was selfish when I picked this game to do a video on because I thought I could make a case for the 0-6 against the spread Missouri Tigers. Texas A&M 9-point favorite, total 60.5 is what this one opened. Somebody likes the Missouri Tigers. This one's moved down to 8.5. I'm just not sure I can get in front of this A&M team. I wanted to make a case for a prime for a letdown spot after upsetting Bama last week. I just cannot trust Mizzou. Does Mizzou finally get a cover this week, Adam?
Kelly, I think they do. First off, props to you. Was standing next to you this weekend. You said, you know what? I think Texas A&M might win this game, and that they did. And I think that, I mean, it has to create like the biggest letdown spot in the history for them, like coming on the road after beating Alabama the way they did, and then having to go play a noon kickoff at Missouri, who comes off of a overtime loss to BC, getting absolutely pounded by Tennessee, and then a pretty underwhelming win over North Texas in a game they were expected to win by more than that. But I do think that they can hang within the number here. And I think had that game not played out the way it did last week, this would probably be closer to like plus 6.5, plus 7. So even with the slight dip now, I still think you're getting value on Missouri in this spot. You know, prior to Texas A&M's big win, they really didn't look very good at all. I mean, they barely beat Colorado as an 18-point favorite. They lost to Arkansas, and the offense looked horrible. And then they lost to Mississippi State in a game where Mississippi State was clearly the better team. So I get they had their moment last week, and they had all the energy from Kyle Field, and it was rocking, and they were able to feed on that. But none of that's going to be here this week. It's a noon kickoff at Missouri. And one more thing I'll say is this. If Missouri can throw the ball and Missouri can put points up, their defense is the reason they're so bad. But if Texas A&M comes out flat because this is a noon game and they're just not into it yet, they might be down 14-0 or 21-0 before this game even starts. And I think that would be their sort of Missouri's path to covering the number.
Dave, sounds like Adam and I are in agreement here. Can you push me over the edge to take that +9? There's still a few available over on the WagerTalk odds screen.
I don't think I can push you over the edge to play it, but I don't really want A&M in this spot for rather obvious reasons. I mean, that is a gigantic win for them last week, and now they're going to Missouri, and it's, Jimbo Fisher's going to have his work cut out from getting this team fired up for this football game. The problem I have is that I just have trouble getting it back at this Minnesota team. This Missouri team. They're not very good. They're really not very good on the defensive side of the ball. They've already fired one of the assistants. He's out of there, the defensive line coach. And, boy, I'm just not seeing any improvement. Even last week, they had North Texas buried in that game. They still couldn't stop the Mean Green from getting back in under the number late in the game. They're just not good defensively. I watched them against Boston College. And Boston College with basically a role-playing game manager at quarterback because their first stringer's hurt. BC went up and down the field on them. And A&M's problem leading up to the Alabama game had been the performance of Zach Calzada at quarterback. He really struggled. And in fact, doing videos last week, I talked about why I couldn't bet A&M in the game, because I kind of liked the spot for them, but I couldn't play it because Calzada had been so awful. Well, he had a breakout game last week, and that was against Alabama. So an offense that I think was lacking confidence is probably going to have some now. And they're going up against a defense that sucks. So, there's no way I lay the points here, but I just can't find enough to get me to the Missouri side. So I'll join you for an opinion, but it's certainly not a bet on me. A bet for me on Missouri.
I may, too, have to pass on this one, unfortunately. Thank you to Dave and Adam. Make sure you guys head over to the WagerTalk YouTube channel and check out all of our other videos.